Hey, what's going on, people? A lot of news has come out about Borderlands 4 since the latest trailer dropped, and all of it is good stuff, so things are stacking up well for this game to be one of the games of all time. Today I'll be covering all of the latest news so you know exactly what to expect and why things are sounding better and better. One of the headlines has been Borderlands 4's massive seamless world. We heard from Randy Pitchford, Gearbox CEO pre-Game Awards, use that word in one of his tweets, but now we have even more information on exactly what he means. We know Borderlands 4 is going to take place on one planet, Kairos, and despite being one planet, it is their biggest world ever. In the latest article from Famitsu, a Japanese video game magazine company, Randy was quoted in saying, "In Borderlands 4, all of these places you see here are playable spaces, with no loading. Completely seamless, no loading. Everything you see is explorable. That big tower you see in the distance, that's where you'll go. There's the moon. Again, everything you see is explorable." That last line hints at Alpus being a playable space, somewhere that we haven't been to since the pre-sequel. Alpus being a moon and the game being set on one planet also lines up, so that is some huge news, especially considering the lore implications and what that could mean for the story. The trailer includes a few shots of locations with wide open spaces, and you can see that again in official screenshots. Considering that all of what you see is explorable is insane. The lack of loading screens is a massive boost for the franchise too, especially for console players, and we know it's next gen exclusive. Reducing the amount of loading screens has been a long time coming, and it sounds like Borderlands 4 is shaping up to be the franchise's most immersive game yet. That emphasis on lack of loading screens also hopefully means we can finally respawn bosses without one too. If so, I'm sold. Because the world is so big, we'll need a way to get around, and as we saw from this shot in the trailer, we have one. They've confirmed the ability to spawn vehicles at almost any time. That almost probably means we can't in confined spaces or certain boss fights, but considering the openness and how massive the world looks, this really was a no-brainer on their part. It's a great thing that they are thinking about this kind of stuff, and it could mean a lot of requested quality of life features make it into the game. One of the main things that stands out in the trailer is the Timekeeper, the main antagonist of Borderlands 4. For as long as this franchise lives, every single villain will be compared to Handsome Jack, but looking at it, the Timekeeper, for me, has some aura surrounding him. We don't see his face, he's always in the distance controlling things from afar. There's so many questions around who they are, what they're trying to accomplish, and that intrigue really sets the game up from a story perspective. In the Famitsu Interview, Randy has this to say about the Timekeeper, who hasn't appeared in Borderlands until now, but has been mentioned. The fact that the Timekeeper has been brewing his plan for ages now adds a gravitas to the whole situation. Lilith phase walks Alpus right in the middle of things, the middle of man's work, and he's not happy about it. The Timekeeper is referenced in Borderlands 3 within the Iridian writings left by Siren Nereid as either a creation or a prisoner trapped inside a vault. One wouldn't have to leap too far to think that their powers revolve around the manipulation of time, and when you think of the possibilities surrounding that, resurrections, altering timelines, the realms of possibility here are endless. Not only are we getting a serious upgrade compared to Borderlands 3 from a villain perspective, but the movement system is getting taken to the next level. In that same Famitsu interview, Randy mentioned that with Borderlands 4, they wanted to excel in terms of FPS mobility and movement action. He's quoted in saying this: "Grapple jumps allow you to hang in the air a bit longer than a normal jump, and you can glide out or slide sideways. You can dodge and lunge, and we've added a lot of new features to the moveset." This basically confirms what we heard from the Gamestar talk, plus if you look closely you can see it in action here towards the end of the trailer. And considering we went from simply jumping in Borderlands 2 to sliding, slamming and mantling in Borderlands 3, it looks like grappling, hovering, gliding, dodging and lunging are the natural next steps. When you think about how far Borderlands 3 elevated the franchise from a gameplay experience, and think about having another huge leap again for Borderlands 4, it sounds like the gameplay will be at a completely new level. Borderlands has always been a game about co-op mayhem, when you and a few buddies can sit on the couch and chase down that loot together. It's great to have couch co-op confirmed for Borderlands 4, letting up to 4 players team up on a single screen. And they've confirmed the ability for 3 buddies at home on the couch to pair up with their mate playing remote in Antarctica. Maybe not Antarctica, but at least not sitting on the same sofa. That's a really positive thing from a multiplayer perspective, and to add to that, crossplay has been confirmed. Whether your buddies are playing on PlayStation, Xbox or PC, you'll be able to party up and get to dropping bosses together. So everything's sounding good from that point of view. I just hope the multiplayer experience is as seamless as the world. Over the past 15 years, Borderlands has built up an insane amount of lore. How much of that will be paid off in Borderlands 4 remains to be seen, but we know one thing: the war that the Watcher predicted at the end of the pre-sequel appears to be at the forefront of Borderlands 4's story. And if you remember what they said, we'll need all the Vault Hunters we can get. Borderlands 4 is set to deep dive into that history, connecting threads we've been following since the first game. The Timekeeper alone raises huge lore implications, especially being tied to the Iridians and the Vaults. And then there's Alpus, which it sounds like we'll be returning to for the first time since the pre-sequel. Alpus is set to become just as important as Pandora is to the Borderlands universe. And with the name Emily Swan being floated about quite a lot lately, there's even more reason for that. Borderlands 4 is set up to capitalize on a lot of this groundwork, paying off 15 years of build-up and theories. Moving away from Pandora and into a new planet, Kairos, opens up many new opportunities. They talked in the PAX panel about this new planet allowing them to push tech boundaries, and it sounds like we're going to be seeing that with the next gen movement system. It's likely Iridian tech will open this door for us, and that's also likely to expand to the arsenal of weaponry we as Vault Hunters have at our disposal. The Iridians, the Timekeeper and this new planet is set to inject a vast playground of technology into Borderlands 4. When we're talking about Kairos being one planet, one big world, that's not to say it's empty. In the Famitsu article, Gearbox emphasized their focus on handcrafted content, meaning every area, enemy and event has been carefully designed to deliver unique experiences. You can gather that from this quote. Anthony Nicholson has more to say here, and it sounds like although Borderlands 4 is their biggest world yet, it will be teeming with life, and have various activities to do and places to explore. Looking at the Vault Hunters, it is pretty early to tell, but things are starting out well here too. From left to right we have our Blade Master, our Siren, a dual-wielding axe-throwing Viking, and what appears to be a Mailwan technician. You can see it in those pants, and they do give a gadget-playing vibe. All of these feel to have distinct roles, which is the number one thing you want in a group of 4 Vault Hunters. Despite that though, Anthony Nicholson, senior project producer at Gearbox, was quoted in saying this: "We wanted each character to have a broad skill tree so that you could build a character that works well with your co-op partner. So no matter which Vault Hunter you choose, you'll have some really good synergy and be able to handle the different areas of combat that you'll encounter as you progress through the world." When I look at the Vault Hunters previously and our lineup today, I'm expecting each of these Vault Hunters to play like a combination of 2 from an earlier title. Like say a Siren Summoner, which would be a combination of Amara's Siren abilities and Flack's control of beasts in Borderlands 3. They've mentioned that skill trees will be deep, and you can safely assume them to be even deeper than Borderlands 3, so this idea of merging 2 skill trees from different Vault Hunters into one deeper tree definitely has potential, especially when you consider the Soldier class going from Roland in Borderlands 1 to Axton in Borderlands 2, then way up to a mech gunner in Moze for Borderlands 3. Finally, Borderlands 4 is making storytelling a priority. In previous games, the Vault Hunters often felt like silent bystanders, just letting my boy Roland get shot and doing nothing about it. The devs are aware of this, and they've talked about putting Vault Hunters at the centre of the narrative and even featuring them in cutscenes. Other than having a strong villain and a plot point that was built up over multiple games, the most positive thing for me from a storytelling perspective is dropping the reliance on existing characters. We saw from the trailer only 2 familiar faces, Claptrap and Zane, and when I watched the Borderlands 3 trailer back, I counted at least 14. So there's clearly a focus here on delivering a coherent story. They've mentioned it themselves too, this focus on new characters, and although existing characters will be appearing, those appearances won't be to the detriment of the story. That's a really good thing, and will help Borderlands 4 to stand on its own and deliver an unforgettable experience.